Hey, reach up there and pull those belts tight. One more time, you're watching the original Rebels Racing League.
Good evening, race fans. Welcome to the First Responders 159, presented by the Late Night Rebels and sponsored by Hall Sheet Metal. We're here at the virtual Kentucky Speedway where our competitors are going to go 159 laps around the 1.5 mile raceway, and it's guaranteed to be a good time. All the competitors coming back here today after an off week and ready for some more great racing. As always, I'm James East with Team Goon Squad Broadcasting, bringing the action 1080p, 60 frames a second, as our drivers take to the track for single car qualifying. As we're watching Kai Shapper, the pilot number 43 Chevrolet, he puts himself on top of a provisional pole with a 30.44. But let's see if he's going to be able to improve that time here today on his second time lap. A lot of fast guys making out. I believe we have about 20 drivers here today. And let's see what Shapper can do across the line. If he improves on a 30.45, he does not. He drops a 30.52 his last time by, but he's got to be happy still on top of provisional pole. Out on track now, we've got Joseph E. Johnson in the number 5 Ford Mustang. His last time by 30.6, about 800ths of a second back from Kai Shapper. But is anyone going to be able to best the number 43 machine here today? Is he still commandingly on top? Yes, Jason Rockefeller was able to do it in the 09 machine, as well as Jeff Paisley in the number 7 machine. The guys are getting faster and faster out on track. And this is going to be a good one if qualifying is any indicator. And Paisley's last time by at 30.42, a full tenth of a second faster than Shapper. And it seems like the opening lap here has been the fastest one for the guys. I haven't really seen many drivers come out and improve on their fastest lap time. Kyle Roberts, number 35 machine, he's going out for his first time lap. So we're going to watch Roberts all the way through. As it appears that if you're able to put down a fast lap time on your first opening lap, that's usually the best it's going to be if any other qualifier indicates that. We'll see what Roberts is able to do out there in number 35 Chevrolet. Interesting fun facts here today for the original Rebel Racing Late Night Series. We do not have a single entry from Toyota here today. It is a field of Chevrolets and Fords. Roberts with a 31.08, his opening lap. Let's see if Roberts is going to be one of the few drivers that improves his lap time with the second time. His last time by was a 31.08. Does he improve? Yes, with a 30.68. Bumps his way up to 14th in qualifying. And it looks like everybody has qualified that is going to. So let's take it to tonight's grid and get ready to get this party started out here today. Starting on pole, Jeff Paisley in the number 7 machine. Fry Hubert starting second tonight in the number 14. Jason Rockefeller in the 09 with Avengers Motorsports. He's starting third on tonight's grid. Kai Shapper, the number 43 machine, starting fourth. Justin Wilkinson in the number 19 will be starting fifth on tonight's grid. Bill Stringfellow in the number 6 machine, number 38 machine, starting sixth. Andy Kurtz in the 05 starting seventh. Joseph Johnson in the number 5 will be starting eighth. Alan Wernicke in the number 72 machine starting 9th on today's grid. Steve Loving in the number 27 starting 10th. Isaac Wilson in the number 93 machine starting 11th. We've got Brett Ritter able to get in here tonight in the number 97 machine. He'll be starting 12th on tonight's grid. Then we've got Peyton Johnson, number 15, starting 13th. Kyle Roberts, number 35, starting 14th. James Jones, the pilot, the number 1 machine, starting 15th. Brett Grunwald in the number 20, starting 16th on tonight's grid. Jason Lottridge in the number 48, starting 17th. Josh Oswald in the number 17th, he's starting 18th. Cody Bohm in the number 18, he's starting 19th. Ryan Williams in the number 8, starting 20th on today's grid. Mickey Isaac in the number 3, starting 21st. Charlie Gates Jr. in the number 55 will be starting 22nd on tonight's grid. Then we've got Gene Watkinson in the 111. He'll be starting 23rd to round out our grid tonight. As we get ready to take to the field for our first responders 159, a race paying tribute to all the brave American men and women that lost their lives on September 11th. On lap 11, we will be having a moment of silence as well to remember those that gave it all to protect their fellow Americans. We get ready to roll them out. It's going to be Jeff Paisley, Fry Hubert, your front row here today. .106 laps, 159 miles of non-stop action. The racing seems to be getting cleaner and cleaner here this season, so let's look to see what the guys can do at the First Responders 159. It's going to be interesting to see if we throw a caution on lap 11 or if it's just an observed silence. We'll have to see what happens with race control on that one. But we're going to get the grid formed up here today. .23 competitors signed up, 22 made it out on track, but away we go as Jeff Paisley, Fry Hubert start this party strong. It's the number 7 of Paisley, the number 14 of Hubert as Jason Rockefeller gets an early run here, trying to move his way up the inside line. Now this 1.5-mile raceway, about 10 to 15 laps of wide open action before the car is starting to tighten up as they go 3 wide behind. Jason Rockefeller square in the middle as he gets edged out by Kai Schapper and Justin Wilkins. Looks like nobody's really happy following single file just quite yet. Everybody's trying to project themselves up to the front, try and make something happen early on. And you'll notice tonight a lot of drivers running patriotic paint schemes here today. As look at that, here comes Schapper trying to look up the inside of Justin Wilkinson to see if he can edge himself into that 3rd place spot. Ahead of him, Wilkinson and Paisley going side by side. As now Rockefeller trying to make something work on the outside line, trying to tuck in behind Jeff Paisley. As up front, Wilkinson still moving up. He's side by side with Fry Hubert. And now Kai Schapper's trying to get in the mix to make it a 3-way battle for the lead. It's Hubert, Wilkinson, and Schapper. Looking like they're going to go 3 wide, trying to decide who Schapper's going to give a little bit of support to. As now Hubert is going to take over the race lead from Wilkinson, but he is not quite clear of the number 19 machine yet. This is some really solid racing up front. Again, it's Wilkinson and Hubert putting on a show. Wilkinson is up 4 spots from where he started here today. Bill Stringfellow also kind of coming out of nowhere. He's up 3 spots. The number 38 machine working his way up into third. Right behind him, Kai Shepard trying to get through. These guys are pushing very hard very early on. It's be interesting to see if they're going to be accounting for the tire wear that may go into a green flag run, or if they're going to use it all up early and maybe try and bank on a caution here. Who is that? That's Stringfellow looking for a move up the inside against Fry Hubert's number 14 Ford Mustang. It's Chevrolet currently running 1 and 2 with Wilkinson and Stringfellow. Hubert, the lone Ford in the top 5 here today. So right now it is Wilkinson, Stringfellow, Shepard, Hubert, Kurtz making up your top 5. Kurtz, Neo 5 machine, he's getting pressured by Alan Wernicke in number 72. Gotta say, very impressed with the driving here we're seeing from everybody. We've seen a few gutsy passes, but everybody able to keep control of it, as now here comes Steve Love, number 27 machine. He's looking up the inside of Jason Rockefeller's 09 Ford Mustang. As these guys are still shuffling all over the place, trying to get into a groove. Ooh, Rockefeller with a bit of a moment there, able to hold on to it. Not sure if he got a little bit of a prod from Steve Loving, or maybe swerve to avoid Alan Wernicke, number 72 driver, currently running 6th on track. It looks like for right now, everybody within the top 7, really the top 10, are fairly happy running single file, trying to click off some laps here at Kentucky. As we spoke too soon up front, that is Kai Shepard, number 43 machine, trying to make an in or outside move around Andy Kurtz and the number 5 machine. Shepard now puts himself into podium contention, but he's one of the few drivers running that outside line. But as we get ready to start lap 11, that is when we will go into our moment of silence to remember everybody who lost their life on 9/11. We are back after our brief moment of silence. Again, tonight is remembrance for all those first responders across the world, especially the United States, that lost their lives on 9/11, protecting everybody they possibly could. This country would not be where it is without those people, those men and servicewomen, policemen, firefighters. Again, those are the true heroes at the end of every day. So tonight is dedicated to them with the First Responders 159, sponsored by Hall Sheet Metal. Guys out on track, we've seen a couple of little bit of feints and jabs, and now Rockefeller's looking to the inside of Kai Shepard. But everybody's kind of been very patient here, trying to plan any passes. Not really seeing any too much of a gutsy move from any one competitor. Jason Rockefeller in the 09 machine doing his best to try and get around Kai Shepard. Fry Hubert, the number 14 machine, as the checkup to avoid getting to the back of the 09 of Rockefeller. as they are still side by side. Shepard and Rockefeller unable to get away from each other. These guys are putting on a show, the battle for fourth. Now Shepard and Rockefeller both are down one spot from where they originally started. Bill Stringfellow has now taken over the lead, accompanied by Justin Wilkinson and Andy Kurtz, running 1, 2, and 3. Right now on your screen, you're watching the battle for fourth. These guys are putting on a show up front. The guys seem to be going single file, but it looks like they were double file just long enough to allow Rockefeller, Hubert, and Shepard up into the mix here. These guys got to be careful. We're 16 laps in on this set of tires. Not wanting to make any moves. Again, the cars are going to really tighten up here at Kentucky. The longer these competitors stay out on track on this set of tires, the harder it's going to be to hold that inside line without pushing up the racetrack. So for those guys you see kind of looking at that inside line, trying to make a move, they're going to have to really time it perfectly to avoid drifting up and hitting any of their friends and competitors on track. As Shepard looking around the outside now of Alan Wernecki. No, excuse me, that was Peyton Johnson Shepard was battling with. Oh! Fry Hubert has a big moment. The number 14 machine has a huge, huge moment. Able to collect himself, though. Watch that butt kicker slow motion replay. We'll drop it up to regular speed here for a moment and see what just happened to Hubert, the number 14 machine on the inside line, as that was quite the wild ride, but he seemed like he was able to hold on to it. Might be a little bit further ahead. Hubert goes for a wild ride. The entire field does a great job of avoiding the 14. But man, what a spectacular save. Unfortunately, that's going to put Hubert down 15 spots. Now 17th on track. Up front, it is Bill Stringfellow, Andy Kurtz, Jason Rockefeller, Justin Wilkinson, Alan Wernecki making up our top 5 here today at Kentucky. Stringfellow out front and doing a fantastic job. He's up 5 positions here in his number 38 Chevrolet. Stringfellow's last time by a 32.11. He's chased by Kurtz, who clicked off a 31.99. So Kurtz a little over 1/10 of a second faster than your race leader, Bill Stringfellow, but he does have that draft to his advantage as well. Is he going to try and make a move around the 38 here early on? Or is he going to play it safe and maybe try and get through one of the fuel windows? Now, if we can see a green flag stop, that would be quite spectacular from our drivers. They have not had the opportunity too many times this season to showcase their green flag stops, their strategy, and their off-track skills as far as planning goes. It's like a little bit further back in the field, you're watching the battle for 5th place as Alan Wernecki, he's trying to chase down Justin Wilkinson, and he's chased by Kai Shepard, Joseph Johnson, Peyton Johnson, really just a whole lot of fast guys we've been used to seeing each and every week. Again, very impressed to see how clean the guys are here today. Already one of the better races we've called for the original Rebel Racing late night series. As look at this, we got some side-by-side action as Warnecki in the number 72 machine trying to get around Justin Wilkinson using the high line. He may be able to keep a little bit more speed here, and he's going to get accompanied by Kai Schaffer, the number 43 driver, who's going to try and propel Warnecki, the number 72, up front. Oh, they're 3 wide here. It is Shepard, Wilkinson, and Johnson. Oh, here we go. It seems that they've saved it somehow. That's the second big save we've seen from these competitors. That will allow Johnson to move up in the top 5. Joseph Johnson in the top 5. With Peyton Johnson as well, just out of reach. But here comes Kai Schaffer once more, trying to get around the outside line of Peyton Johnson. Making that 43 machine sing the song of its people, carrying that outside line, trying to carry just a little bit more speed as we are about 1/4 of the way through of tonight's race. And we've had 2 extremely close calls, but no cautions here so far. There's now Jeff Paisley, the number 7 machine, the Arcadia Motorsports driver. He's going to try and get in the mix as well. Let's see if he can grab a few spots. Right now, Paisley comfortably inside the top 10, running 9th on track. Behind him, he's got his teammate Brett Redder as well, the number 97 Arcadian driver. But Steve Levin's going to look at the inside line of Kai Schaffer to see if he can make something happen here. Very impressed with the guys here today. Some guys are making big moves right now. Peyton Johnson, your hardest charge on the track, number 15 machine. He's up 7 spots so far in tonight's race. Qualifying 13th and has comfortably moved his way up to 6th in the results so far. But he does have a lot of pressure from Kai Schaffer. Schaffer also one of those drivers with Shappy as he's been getting faster and faster all season. Seems to be more and more comfortable every time he is in a race car of any sort, ovals, road courses, you name it. And he's getting better and better. Looks like Shepard has some speed here. He's going to be able to get around Peyton Johnson. Johnson gets a spectacular run down the backstretch. We're going to see if he can pull up to Joseph Johnson and maybe make something happen. Now, if we get to a green flag stop tonight, I'm going to be ecstatic here, ladies and gentlemen. That's one of my favorite things to see as a broadcaster, is the guys able to show their ability on track as well as their smarts off track. As far as pit strategy goes, if I come in now, how will this affect me later in the race? What are the other competitors going to do, so on and so forth. It really allows these guys, again, an opportunity to show maybe something a little bit more than their driving ability. I do not know what fuel limit they're running here today for Kentucky, so just with an educated guess, I'm expecting the fuel window to open around lap 40 for these competitors. As we got a little bit of action going on here. Brett Redder, he's on the inside line of Jeff Paisley. Paisley trying to make that outside line work. Now, I'm not sure if Redder's running just an all-black paint scheme today or what he might be using. It sure looks completely blacked out. It's hard to see that machine. Oh, it's just ridiculously dark. The number 97 machine not running his normal paint scheme here today. Looks like to be, for the most part, everybody fairly happy running single file, not wanting to try anything too risky. There's several distinct packs of drivers out on track. There's Stringfellow, Rockefeller, and Kurtz running 1, 2, 3. The second pack, you've got Warnecki, Joseph Johnson, Peyton Johnson. Then you've got Steve Loving, Shapper, Redder, Roberts, and Paisley all running in a row as well. So as the cars tighten up, it's much harder to make any big passes without risking yourself or the race car. So we may see a little bit of single file action here and maybe try and click off a fuel run, something we don't normally see out of these competitors. Up front, Stringfellow, Rockefeller, Kurtz making it look easy as they're about to catch up to lap traffic here. As it is good to see Stringfellow out front running very strong, as well as Rockefeller and Kurtz. Three very fast drivers that have had a little bit of bad luck as this season progresses. But maybe they're able to shake out all the cobwebs last week at our fun run at Bristol, where crashing was encouraged. So maybe the guys got out of their system for a little while at least. Now historically, every time a commentator says something like that, crashes are to follow. As we're watching Joseph Johnson and Alan Warnecki going side by side. Johnson shows number 5 on lap time and scoring 18 on track, so must have grabbed the wrong transponder here today. Warnecki in the number 72 machine currently 5th on track. Now all these guys are all up 4 or 5 positions each in the top 5. They've got to be careful not to push too hard on these more worn-in tires. We've been at 37 laps under green flag conditions, but Warnecki and Joseph Johnson show no signs of slowing down as here comes Peyton Johnson in the blue, white, and black number 15 machine. He wants to interject himself as well for this 3-car battle for 4th. Meanwhile, the race leaders, Stringfellow, Rockefeller, and Kurtz ahead have checked out. They are 6.5 seconds ahead of 4th place Joseph Johnson. Oh, hold on to it, guys. Got to be careful here. Joseph Johnson may have gotten a little bit of a shove from Peyton Johnson. That's allowing Alan Warnecki to go around in the number 72 machine. But these guys have had several very close calls here today. As now it is Joseph Johnson, Al Warnecki going side by side once more. Peyton Johnson, number 15 machine, he wants in the mix, as well as Steve Lovin, number 27 machine. These guys are battling extremely hard for that 5th place spot, and that is allowing the race leaders to really stretch their legs. They're now over 8 seconds. Ooh, Steve Loving gets a little bit of a tap from Kai Shapper, able to hold on to it. And who was that into the outside wall? I believe that was Kyle Roberts, number 35 machine. It was, takes a lot of damage. And he is going to be having to return to pit lane to try and get that race car hammered back into shape. now Peyton Johnson has moved his way up into 4th. Alan Warnecki 5th. Steve Loving 6th. Kai Shepard 7th. These guys have not given each other a break all race long here today. And they may find themselves with a little bit of aero damage if they keep bumping each other around like we've seen. But all in all, this looks to be one of the cleanest races we've had so far this season. Now it is Warnecki and Loving battling out on track. So while Loving and Warnecki are battling side by side, that's allowed Peyton Johnson to get about 1.2 seconds ahead from the 5th and 6th place drivers of Warnecki and Loving. And again, the leaders have absolutely checked out. Stringfellow, Rockefeller, and Kurtz, they are 10 to 11 seconds ahead of the rest of the field here today, with no sign of slowing down. But when are the competitors going to have to come in? As we're going 3 wide back here for 5th place, it is Shepard, Loving, and Warnecki still putting on a show. Now, it seems to be the name of the game for these drivers. If you can get a breakaway, the guys behind you are still going to stay battling. So it's going to be interesting to see if Warnecki, the number 72 machine, currently 5th on track, will get a bit of a chance to breathe, as now we watch Kai Shepard and Steve Loving battle hard for that 6th place spot. We made it 47 laps in here, ladies and gentlemen. Gotta be a record. Gotta be here. Now, that being said, we've seen several, I want to say 3 extremely close calls that almost ended in tragedy and almost ended the green flag runs for all of our competitors. So what's going to be interesting is, I think if we can make it to a green flag pit stop, if we're going to see another caution come out, it'll be a few laps after that, as you get drivers on mixed tire sets, everybody coming in at different times. As Steve Loving is going to get right in front of Jeff Paisley's number 7 machine. And no, Paisley's going to return the favor, going at the inside of Steve Loving, not giving him any chance to breathe. Ryan Williams and Brett Grunewald are going to come into pit lane for their first cycle tonight, as well as Jason Rockefeller coming with an early pit. Rockefeller was our 3rd place car out front in the 09 Ford Mustang. Steve Loving also going to come into pit lane. So up front, it's going to be Bill Stringfellow, Andy Kurtz, Peyton Johnson. Now, are we going to see Stringfellow and Kurtz with a 10-second lead over the rest of the field stretch it out? And no, we are not. They are going to come in on lap 50. Are they going to be able to make it to the end on fuel here? Or are we going to see some drivers try and save 6 laps of fuel as Peyton Johnson stays out? He's going to try and run the number 15 all the way dry if he has anything to say about it. Now, an average pit lane time is usually about 50 seconds from the time you cross the first cones to the time you cross the second set of cones as you make your way back on track. So it's going to be interesting to see how long does Johnson decide to stay out for before he must absolutely come in. as he has put Rockefeller and Hubert and really a large portion of the field down a lap here at Kentucky. And he's about to get swallowed up by race cars with a fresh set of tires as here comes Rockefeller. Making his way through. Now Johnson, he's got about a 2.8 second lead over second place Alan Wernicke. The top 5 drivers, Johnson, Wernicke, Redder, Lottridge, Wilson, have not come down pit lane yet. So they're going to try and make it a one-stop race and do so comfortably so they have the fuel at the end of the run in case we do get those green-white checker conditions. Brett Redder, the number 97 machine, he comes in the pit lane. Johnson looked like he may have been looking for the apron there to try and get set up on the inside line, but unable to do it with the faster traffic on new tires coming through. How long is Johnson going to stay out for? Again, the later he pits, the best chance he has to have the freshest tires for the remainder of the run, as he is still ahead by 19 seconds over Isaac Wilson, your third place driver who has not pitted yet. As far as fresh sets of tires go, you got to go back to fourth place Jason Rockefeller, who's about 28 seconds back, who came in on lap 49, one of the first competitors to come in for 4 fresh Goodyears and a tank of gas. But how is this going to affect Johnson's run later on, staying out on those older tires? Granted, he will have the freshest set on track, depending on what Wernicke and Wilson does, but is that going to play out to his advantage? Are we going to get a late caution that could really shake things up? As now, oh, Johnson gets a little bit low there on the apron, almost sends the number 15 Chevrolet sliding across the racetrack, able to hold on to it. This time, a 32.98, so about 33 seconds a lap. He's about 2 seconds a lap slower than Jason Rockefeller, third on track, who came in a lap 49. So the tire wear is quite massive for these competitors, and it really shows later on in the run. So right now it is Johnson and Alan Wernicke running 1 and 2 that have not pitted yet. They're about 22 seconds ahead of the rest of the field, so if they pit, in theory, they should come out about 20 seconds behind the rest of the field. As now Alan Wernicke is going to bring it into pit lane on lap 57. We're not quite sure what Johnson is doing. Maybe hoping for a caution to really shake things up. Or maybe going for the big brain move towards the end of the run so he has the absolute fastest tires and he can hot lap through the rest of the field. Again, it's kind of a skewed result as he has not pitted yet, but he is up 12 positions from where he started. And he appears to be the only driver that has not pitted here yet tonight at Kentucky for the First Responders 159, sponsored by Hall Sheet Metal. I gotta give Johnson some credit. He's not as slow as really he should be with tires that old. His last time by 32.64. Rockefeller in second clicked off at 31.59. So just about a 1 second a lap difference between the very old 58 lap old tires of Peyton Johnson and Jason Rockefeller, who's on 10 lap old tires at this point. Again, Rockefeller came in at lap 49. Most of the field came in around that lap 49 to 50 mark. But Johnson tries a little bit different. He's going to stretch his legs as long as he can, as now he's got a bunch of drivers that are trying to unlap themselves. Fry Hubert, Justin Wilkinson, Steve Loving, Kai Schappert, all coming out on those fresh Goodyears. And this is where things can get very exciting, as we got 3 wide action behind your race leader. Differing tire sets can make this extremely hairy. Nobody wants to be the driver that gets into your race leader and causes a big incident. As so far Johnson allows the field to get through the drivers that were a lap down or laps down. With no incidents so far. Ooh, Johnson finally brings it into pit road on lap 60. That should allow Jason Rockefeller to take over the race lead. He's got Bill Stringfellow about a half second back from him, and about Andy Kurtz about 1.3 seconds back from Rockefeller. So not a whole lot has changed in the top 3 here today at Kentucky. So after watching Peyton Johnson stretch it out so long, the number 15 machine on a set of tires again, he made it 60 laps on his tires and fuel. He really didn't lose a whole lot of time. He's about a second slower than everybody else out on track compared to some guys who were not able to manage the tire wear as well. That could have been 2-3 seconds off the pace. We know these drivers should be able to make it to the end quite comfortably, but who's going to be able to save a little bit more tires here at the end? As Rockefeller, he's up 2 spots from where he started into first. Stringfellow is up 4 spots, as well as Andy Kurtz in the 05 machine. Again, Stringfellow running second, Kurtz running third. But don't forget about Steve Loving. He's about 15 seconds back from the other drivers right now, but he is up 6 positions so far. As these guys have been very smart all race, not wanting to push too hard and make any big moves. We're going to cycle a little bit further back in the field as we're watching Jeff Paisley chase down, I believe that's the lap traffic on the number 55 machine, Charlie Gates Jr. Behind Paisley, he's got his teammate Brett Redditor, and then he's trying to work away that 0.6 of a difference to Kai Shapert, currently running 6th on track. The front of this pack, though, Steve Loving currently 4th on track. He is 15 seconds behind the lead 3 drivers. And we've seen it all race. These guys have been battling very hard. It's been really tough to put your head down and make up any move, any ground here. As it is Loving, Wilkinson, and Shapert running 4th, 5th, 6th. As we've got teammates Brett Redder and Jeff Paisley doing a little bit of battling on their own. This is the battle for 7th on track. Trying to leapdog their way up to Kai Shapert, number 43 machine. Again, they do have lap traffic right in front of them as well. Up front, again, I'm very impressed with the driving. We're seeing everybody running single file up front, taking it nice and easy. It's Rockefeller, Stringfellow, and Kurtz. Really making it look kind of easy. We've clicked off 68 laps so far. We did a green flag stop. That should be our only planned stop of the day. Now, if we do have a late race caution, you'll see everybody drive in at the last moment to take 4 fresh Goodyears and take up gas for that mad dash at the end. As now here comes Andy Kurtz. He's going to challenge for that 2nd place spot. Going down the inside line of Stringfellow's black and blue number 38 machine. Now this is going to be a good example of that tightness we were talking about. These guys came in about 20 laps ago. So naturally you want to try and run that inside line when you can to try and kind of squeeze your way up alongside your competitors. But as the cars tighten up, it's tough to keep it from plowing up the racetrack into the side of your competition. As now Stringfellow is going to take back over 2nd place. Andy Kurtz going to cycle back to 3rd. Now these guys, if they don't burn up 2 tires, they should be good to go. at least till the end. But again, this is going to be a tire-saving game here today in Kentucky. 30 laps remaining. These guys should easily be able to make it on fuel at this point. Looks like a little bit further back. This is Steve Loving, fourth on track. He's still about 16 seconds behind the race leader. Behind him, he's got Justin Wilkinson about 7/10 of a second back. And then Brett Redder, Kai Shappert, Jeff Paisley, Alan Warnecki, Fry Hubert making up our top 10 here today. Let's look at the number 15 machine, Peyton Johnson, who came in with that extremely late pit stop on lap 60. He is charging through the field here. It appears he is making quick work of everybody that he gets behind. Now he's working on Fry Hubert, the number 14 Ford Mustang driver. Hubert has not come in since lap 26. So Hubert had a kind of forced to take a bit of an undercut, getting a little bit of damage on his race car. But how far up to the field is Peyton Johnson going to be able to push here, as he is now 1.1 seconds behind Alan Warnecki in ninth, but he has worked his way back inside the top 10. So that's going to be one of the drivers we have to keep an eye on out here. Jeff Paisley goes side by side with Kai Shappert. Shappert on the outside, Paisley on the inside. And it just seems like that outside line here, Kentucky's been able to carry so much more speed and possibly save the tires. And that's probably one of the biggest things for these guys, is just keeping the tires underneath them for these long runs. Some of these drivers not used to the long green flag runs here in the past, but as the racing's progressed, the guys get more familiar with their race cars, their tracks, as well as their competitors, and have been able to lock it in and make it look a little bit easier and cleaner as the season goes on. Redder making moves as well. He's squeezing by Justin Wilkinson, working his way up inside the top 5. Now he's about 1.3 seconds back from Steve Loving. But I think a lot of these guys are going to be praying for a caution, anything to bunch up the field once more to get any hope at podium contention, because Rockefeller, Stringfellow, and Kurtz have been out front with a commanding lead here today. As we've got about 30 laps left to go in tonight's race. Almost everybody out on track came in around that lap 49 to 50 mark, except for Peyton Johnson, who again, he has worked his way up to 9th. Are we going to see any more from Johnson, as he is way, way back from the leaders? But it's always cool to see guys try different strategies to see what's going to work out here, and try and maybe gamble a little bit to see if the cautions are going to play into your favor at all. Redder getting closer and closer to Loving. It's less than a second separating the two drivers, as there's once again Charlie Gates Jr., number 55 machine. Again, Gates is a lap down from the race leaders, but still out there charging hard and salvaging some points for this season. And I was mistaken. That is actually Isaac Wilson, the number 93 machine. Wilson currently 18th on track, not having the night he wanted. He qualified 11th, but unfortunately has worked his way to the back after some of those early incidents. Again, we saw a couple of, we'll call them what they are. They were crashes that did not bring out the caution. With some drivers are losing the short end of the draw on that one, as Redder has now worked his way to within 6/10 of Steve Loving. But it appears Loving has a draft partner that is helping him out just a little bit. Kai Shapper just got shuffled back a couple spots. It'll be interesting to see what happened to number 43 machine, as I believe Wilkinson and Paisley both made their way by. As these guys are battling very, very hard all across the racetrack. 26 laps left to go here in the main event. As you're watching Justin Wilkinson, the number 19 machine, currently 6th, trying to fend off Kai Shapard and Jeff Paisley. Two drivers that qualified much higher than their current position really shows. As now Shapard and Paisley go side by side through turn 3. And that's probably one of my favorite things here about the original Rebel Racing League is some of the drivers aren't necessarily here for that podium spot. They're just here for some good, clean racing no matter where it is out on track. As you're watching Paisley and Shapard, they're battling for 7th place right now. And if you you're interested in, it looks like they're battling for the lead and putting on a great show while doing so. Here comes Peyton Johnson, number 15 machine. Johnson with about 10 laps newer tires than almost everybody else on track right now. And they're going to make it 3 wide here at Kentucky, but for how long is Johnson's going to slide up the racetrack? And it looks like he's going to get around both Paisley and, I believe, Shapard here. A lot of great racing. Peyton Johnson kind of charging up to the field here. Now he's going to try and work on Justin Wilkinson. So maybe the latest strategy paying off well for the driver of the number 15 machine. As he's making big moves with 23 laps left to go. Trying to work on Wilkinson. Can he get by cleanly? He made it this far without any major incidents. They're going to go side by side. Like a tiny bit of contact between Peyton Johnson and Justin Wilkinson, but no harm, no foul. As Kai Shapard's going to try and lock onto the back of Peyton Johnson's number 15 machine as well to see if he can grab a spot using the draft of the driver with fresher tires. Now Johnson's got about a 3-second disadvantage to catch up to Brett Redder and Steve Loving. Not sure he's going to be able to make that up with 22 laps left to go. And up front, the drivers are still running 1, 2, 3. It's Rockefeller out front, Stringfellow second, and Kurtz right behind. 3 very talented racers running very close to each other as the number 78 machine gets out of the way as quickly as he possibly can to allow the race leaders through here. It is about a half second that separates Rockefeller to second place Stringfellow, and about 7/10 of a second that separates second place Stringfellow back to Andy Kurtz in third. I can't say enough. Very impressed with the drivers here tonight. One of the best performances they've had all season long. If they can finish tonight without any cautions, they should all be extremely ecstatic. Looks like Rockefeller may be losing a little ground here to Stringfellow. It's not much. It's barely noticeable. It's about 7/100ths of a second their last time by. As Rockefeller clicked off at 32.46 compared to Stringfellow's 32.39. Meanwhile, Kurtz clicked off at 32.4. So all these guys running almost identical lap times here today in Kentucky and making it look pretty easy so far. We're going to cycle back to 4th place. That's Steve Loving, accompanied by Brett Redder. Peyton Johnson, with those fresher tires, seems to have stalled just a little bit, as he wasn't that much faster than Loving or Redder with their 10-lap older tires. Now Loving 4th on track. He's about 18 seconds back from the lead pack. So without a caution, he's looking at a very tough deficit to overcome, as almost everybody in the top 10 is on the same tire strategy, except for Peyton Johnson, who came in 10 laps later than the rest of the field, trying to use those new tires to his absolute best advantage. Brett Grunwald comes back into pit lane in the number 20 machine. Not sure if he had problems or what may have happened for him. Up front, Rockefeller and Stringfellow really have stayed pretty close all the way through. They are getting by the number 1 of James Jones, who will go a lap down. But it's been about 0.3 of a second, almost the duration of this fuel run, separating our top 2 drivers. They have found a little bit of time over Andy Kurtz, the 3rd place driver, who's now about 1.45 seconds back. So it seems like our top 2 drivers have been very good at tire management, or at least they're able to stay glued to each other throughout this run. Now these top 2 drivers, really everybody inside the top 10, should be able to stretch it out all the way to the end. There's not many drivers out on track that are kind of in the danger zone. Maybe Kyle Roberts, number 35 driver in 11th, who pitted on lap 43. As we've seen Peyton Johnson, the best example out on track. He stretched out 60 laps on a set of fuel, and he was pretty quick all the way through. But with 14 laps remaining, it is getting a go time for some of these guys, as now Stringfellow finds himself about a half second back from Jason Rockefeller. Steve Loving, Brett Redder still running in tow here today, running 4th and 5th. You have to cycle back about 2 more seconds to Peyton Johnson. Johnson going for the massive overcut, coming in 10 laps later than the rest of his competition. And it seems to have worked pretty well for the driver number 15, as he's probably gained about 10 positions on this fuel run. But up front, it is Jason Rockefeller, the lone Ford Mustang driver in the top 10 here today, as he's going to get around Charlie Gates Jr., the number 55 machine, as they go side by side into turn 3. Rockefeller's got to be very careful here of running into somebody that may possibly have better tires and be able to hold a different line, because the last thing he wants is to find his race interrupted with lap traffic and find himself with a damaged Spider-Man car. It's 11 laps left to go here at Kentucky, and right now Rockefeller, the driver to beat in the 09 Ford Mustang, he's about a half second ahead of Bill Stringfellow's number 38 Chevrolet. And then these guys are about 2 seconds ahead of 3rd place Andy Kurtz. Now everybody right here should be able to run nice and easy to the remainder of the race and not have to worry too much really about anything. I think lapped cars are probably the biggest concerns for our race leaders, not wanting to get involved with any incidents and risk it all late into the night. 10 laps left to go. Rockefeller, his last time by at 32.32. He was almost 0.3 of a second faster than Stringfellow that last lap. Not sure if Stringfellow's having a rougher time navigating traffic, or if maybe Rockefeller is just so darn good at saving tires. Ooh, Rockefeller getting dangerously close to that inside apron. Driver fatigue may be a factor here today. It just takes one slip up as these guys are hitting trap speeds of excess of 180 miles an hour. So one momentary lapse of judgment, any single mistake, and you can find yourself with a careening race car and a night involving you going back to the hauler very, very early. But Rockefeller still has that half a second advantage over Stringfellow. Stringfellow looks like he may be trying to get through lap traffic, is able to do so. That's number 35 of Kyle Roberts, yielding the position to Bill Stringfellow to allow him to get back up there and into the race. 8 laps left to go. Are we going to see Stringfellow make a final charge here tonight? As he quickly gains a 1/10 of a second on Rockefeller. Now Rockefeller does have the luxury. He's the race leader. He's setting the pace here today. So it is up to him to decide how much tires he wants to burn up early on into a fuel run. That last time by Stringfellow and Rockefeller clicking off almost identical lap times here in Kentucky. Not a lot of time left to go for our competitors. There's a little bit of a wall tap there from the number 19 of Justin Wilkinson. Able to hold on to it and avoid slingshotting back down the track into Stringfellow. Stringfellow's gotten that gap down to about 0.35 seconds to Jason Rockefeller, your race leader. 6 laps left to go. If Stringfellow has any tires left, now is the time to shine, to try and catch up to the 09 machine, your race leader, who's been one of the dominant cars here today. Rockefeller's got it up again to about 0.4 of a second over Stringfellow. And then it looks like Stringfellow may have pushed very wide coming out of turns 3 and 4. Now it's down to, or back up to 0.7 of a second with 4 laps left to go. Are we going to see Jason Rockefeller get challenged here? Or is he going to be able to cruise to the end at victory lane nice and easy? Rockefeller, I say it every week we cover these guys. One of the best looking race cars out on track each and every week. Always looking great in the Spider-Man painted 09 machine. And I believe he is still searching for his first win this season. We'll have to double check with that with our pit lane reporter. As you know, Rockefeller does have 1 win so far this season, and he is currently 6th in points, so looking for his 2nd win of this season. But 3 laps left to go at the First Responders 159. We may have a green flag race, ladies and gentlemen. Rockefeller, he's got about a 7/10 advantage over Bill Stringfellow. Looks like he may be able to run at home uncontested here today for the 2nd time this season. Again, this has got to be, I want to say, the first race we've had caution-free. As right as I say that, there's sparks at the start-finish line straight. So hopefully the commentator's curse does not strike again, but Jason Rockefeller is going to bring it around for the final time here at Kentucky, as he goes up to the inside of Jeff Paisley. He's got an 8/10 of second advantage over Bill Stringfellow. So right now it is Rockefeller's race to lose. He's just got to cruise down the back stretch here through turns 3 and 4. And ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together. Jason Rockefeller in the 09 is going to win it here for the First Responders 159. The 2nd race of the season for the 09 machine. In a sea of Chevrolet, it is the Ford Mustang that brings it home on top. Then you've got Bill Stringfellow and Andy Kurtz bringing it home to round out our podium. But Well done to all the guys. That was a spectacular race. As a well-deserved win for Rockefeller in the '09 machine. He's going to absolutely burn it down here today. Still waiting to get some of our drivers up here into the waiting room. But man, what a great race from all the competitors here today. One of the best events we've had the pleasure of calling for the original Rebel Racing Late Night League. As we've got all of our drivers up into the booth. Up first, we've got Andy Kurtz bringing it home in third. Andy, great run tonight. Were you expecting to see that green flag run, or was this a little bit unexpected for you here today?
Hey, thanks, man. Yeah, so I mean, wasn't surprised. I think the last couple Kentucky races here have actually gone green all the way. So I was sort of planning on that, trying to figure out, when to make that pit stop. See the the guy who won, he pitted first there. I think that on him the race there got him out in front of us. So he definitely played his cards well.
Now, Andy, was it the track position that you think was so important at the end of that run, especially as all the cars started to tighten up, or what made you think that undercut may have been so important for Rockefeller to bring it home?
Yeah, it was super tough to pass. I was having issues, running up behind guys in the turns. I was just getting super tight when I was on someone's bumper. So once I got to the top, two, three there, it was really tough to make a move past that. So yeah, I mean, winning the race on pit road was definitely the way to do it, and that's definitely how it was won.
Well, Andy, you looked great out there. Always great to see a green flag run from all of our competitors. Seems like the racing just keeps getting better and better. But before I just sign off, who would you like to give a shout out to behind the scenes that may be supporting you in the '05 machine?
Yeah, no, just want to thank the Rebels Racing League here. This is actually my first Cup race I've done with you guys. So thanks to everyone in the league, and thanks to you for putting on a good show for everyone.
Well, always a pleasure. Hope to see you up here more often. And welcome to the Cup Series, my friend.
All right, thanks, man.
That was Andy Kurtz bringing it home in third today. Up next, we've got Bill Stringfellow, the pilot of the number 38 machine. Bill, it's been a heck of a season, but we're starting to see you up here in the victory lane a little bit more often, my friend.
Yeah, it's good to finally get some good runs together.
Now, we had a green flag run tonight. Was that something you expected? Did everybody get out the aggression out the fun run at Bristol, or what do you think attributed to the great racing and clean racing we saw here today?
Um, I think a lot of it had to do with this track. You have to save your tires, so the people who saved were able to get away from the people who didn't, and it just made for a bit of gap between the drivers.
Now we talk about
Fun run was a lot of fun though. I did enjoy that last week.
that was a lot of fun from my point of view as well, Bill, and kind of a nice change of pace. We went from heavy metal to classical music here today, it seems. But now you talked about keeping the tires underneath you in pit strategy. Is there anything you think you could have done differently that maybe took a shot at Rockefeller later on the race, or are you still pretty happy to be second with a clean race car here today?
I'm happy with the second. That was a good run. Good points day, but once he pitted a lap before me, I knew I was probably in trouble. Um, just because that gap and not having the clean air anymore make a big difference.
Well, still a great run out there today, Bill. Good to see you up here in the interview booth more often, and hopefully it's more often things so we get to see you more again in the future. Before I let you sign off tonight, Bill, who would you like to give thanks to that makes that 38 machine so fast each and every week?
Well, I'd like to thank all the sponsors: Hall Female, Magic Mike Motorsports, Arcadian Motorsports, Smil Racing, Butt Kicker, of course, Team Goon Squad for the broadcast. I always go back and rewatch the broadcast. You guys do an awesome job. Thanks to Dakota Camper and William Griffith for getting me involved in this league, and to all the other admins. It's been fun.
Well, spoken like a true professional, Bill. Always a great time talking to you, and hope to see you up here next week as well, my friend.
Oh, so I'm pretty good at Watkins Glen usually, so.
It's gonna be a bloodbath, brother. All right, Bill, take it easy, my friend.
You too.
Up next, the man of the hour, one of the fan favorites, Jason Rockefeller in the 09 Spider-Man car. Jason, fantastic run tonight. Good to see you up here for your second win of the season.
Yeah, it's good to be back up in the booth with you, James. It's been a really tough last few weeks between us having good runs and then getting wrecked. They're just coming up so short. I was really feeling like we were going to win Charlotte a few weeks ago, but just didn't play in our favor. Had some bad luck there, but we were able to get it done tonight, and what better paint scheme to do it than the Spider-Man car representing New York City. So proud of myself for that. Didn't really feel confident, but it was definitely an interesting one.
Now, what do you think played to your advantage tonight? Was it the pit stop strategy? Was it familiarity with the track? Or what do you think helped you be a little bit quicker than everybody else here today?
I mean, I'm going to give credit to Bill and everybody who was behind me, because it was really tough. Like, tires were huge for sure. If you weren't hooking the bottom in 3 and 4, you were going to go nowhere because you had to save tires. And on that first run, on the first half of the run, I could not get past Bill. Clean air was definitely, I think, the biggest factor tonight, because if it weren't for clean air, if it was like a mile and a half with more banking, I think Bill would have got me. But, I mean, definitely the leapfrogging by me in the pits when I pitted early. I was like the second guy, third guy to pit. That definitely played a factor, and I just saved my tires after 5 laps of running them after I came out of the pits. So.
Well, it worked very well for you, Jason. It seemed like you had one of the faster cars all night long. Now, how are you feeling going into Watkins Glen next week as we go to a road course? I mean, no full course cautions unless something goes terribly wrong, but how do you feel taking the right-handers at Watkins?
Didn't even know where we were going at Watkins Glen, so I can't wait to make it 2 in a row because I love road courses. So be on the lookout.
Awesome. You heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. Jason, great job as always, man. Always a pleasure talking to you, and glad to see you get up here a little bit more often.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
Well, I forgot an important step here, Jason. Before I let you sign off and celebrate with everybody else, who would I give a shout-out to behind the scenes?
I got to thank my man Kenny Brady for helping me out a lot. He's been teaching me a lot with iRacing. I got to tell Josh Thompson, cousin and teammate, team owner, to get better. He's got diagnosed with COVID-19 about a little less than a week ago, so I'm hoping he feels better. I got to thank my girlfriend for supporting me. I got to thank all the first responders and military members who have stuck by our country and everything like that. I got to thank you at Team Goon Squad for broadcasting the races, iRacing for giving us this great platform, all the sponsors, the league for sure, and the commissioners, and everybody who just puts this thing together and gives us a chance to come out here and have fun every week.
Well said, Jason. Good to see you up here again, man, and hope to see you back it up at Watkins Glen with those confident words.
Counting on it.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is going to do it here for the First Responders 159, sponsored by Hall Sheet Metal. Again, tonight goes out to all the first responders in America, firefighters, policemen, everybody that helps keep us safe each and every week and allows us to play virtual sim racers all the time here at the original Rebel Racing League, and especially the Late Night Rebel Series. On behalf of Team Goon Squad Broadcasting, Original Rebel Racing, Arcadian Motorsports, and Hall Sheet Metal, I am James East, wishing you a happy and safe evening, and we'll see you same time, same place next week as we go to Watkins Glen for the road circuit. Have a great night, everyone.